If somebody came to you who was a beginning songwriter and they asked you to assign them 3 pieces of homework, what would you tell them to do?
Okay. The first piece of homework is going to sound incredibly daunting, and I don't want it to sound this way because as long as you're patient, as long as you're passionate about your craft, this will happen. I would tell them to write 100 songs before they even consider starting to get their songs out in the world. And the reason that I say this is a couple. One reason is songwriting is a muscle. This doesn't mean that some of your early songs aren't going to be fabulous songs, but by the time you've written 100, you really have a sense of who you are as a writer. Now, I know if somebody had said to me early on, go write 100 songs, I would have been so discouraged because at that point I had written 4 or 5 songs and I loved them and I was passionate about them. And you know what? I actually, looking back, I think that some of the stuff that I wrote early on had real heart to it, but I didn't understand what I was doing. So if somebody had said, I really like that, let's say I had pitched one of those songs to a publisher, and the publisher said, I really like that, bring me some more like that, I would have panicked. Because I wouldn't have known how to do it. I would not have known how to say to a publisher, okay, I'll go do that. I would have been at that point in a position where all of a sudden I'd have thought, oh no, but I had to wait 6 months and wait for inspiration to strike for that to happen. What am I going to do? If you write 100 songs, you're going to know, you may not know everything about yourself as a writer, but you'll know a lot. The second piece of advice I would give to any beginning songwriter is, don't be too sensitive. We're sensitive because we're writers, and we're writers because we're sensitive. I get it. But if I could look back on the songwriter that I was starting out, and when I was starting out, if anybody said something that wasn't, oh my goodness, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life, if there was anything else said about one of my songs, I was crestfallen. And I would often just drop the song and move on. The reality is that we as songwriters need to know for ourselves when a song is good. As much as it's nice to hear from someone else, hey, that's a good song, you need to know. Because the assumption going forward in your career is if you don't know that you're good, why should anybody else? And I'm not saying be arrogant. I'm simply saying don't be sensitive. Learn your craft to the point where you really do have an understanding and you know who you are as a creative person. And the third thing I would say to any and all songwriters is be patient. This is a brutally difficult thing to do in practice. It's easy to sit here and say be patient, but I can promise you, songs of mine that I wrote years ago, 7, 8 years ago, are actually generating real income for me now. And if somebody had told me the day I wrote the song, hey, Cliff, congratulations, you just wrote a song that in 7 years from now is going to generate money for you, I'd have been really bummed. 7 years is a long time to wait. So all that to say, be patient, love what you do every single day, have enough irons in the fire all the time to where you're not waiting on that one thing to happen, and slowly but surely, if you stick with it, it will happen. It just never happens still. It never happens as fast as I want it to, but if you stick around, it will happen.